This is Mindfulness with Richard. I'm Richard Clarke. Welcome. This series focuses on mindfulness meditation. So listen, reflect, and deeply meditate. Excuse me while I get something ready. Okay. So we have been exploring advanced aspects of mindfulness practice. These include cultivating equanimity, dealing with difficult emotions, exploring impermanence, deepening concentration, developing witness consciousness, and applying mindfulness in everyday life. In today's session, we'll explore developing witness consciousness. When we talk about mindfulness, we sometimes hear the term witness consciousness. Witness consciousness is a state of an awareness where we observe our thoughts, emotions, and sensations without getting caught up in them. It's a way of stepping back and watching our experience unfold without judgment, criticism, or attachment. When we develop witness consciousness, we become more present, more peaceful, and more connected to ourselves and the world around us. So, how do we develop witness consciousness? I'm sure you've experienced it. Here are a couple of examples. You're in a beautiful natural setting, such as a forest or a beach. You take in the sights, sounds, and smells around you without getting lost in your own thoughts. You feel a sense of peace and connectedness with the world around you. Or when during meditation, you notice thoughts and feelings arising, but you don't get caught up in them. Instead, you observe them with a sense of detachment, and they eventually pass. These are times you've already been in the witness state, though you probably didn't label it as such. So there are practices and techniques that can help us cultivate this witness awareness. The first, I think the main one, is practicing non-reactivity. The key to developing witness consciousness is learning to observe your experiences without reacting to them. This means letting go of your habitual patterns of reacting to your thoughts, emotions, and sensations, and simply observing them with curiosity and openness. By practicing non-reactivity, you develop greater equanimity and resilience in the face of life's challenges. When we react to our thoughts, emotions, and sensations, we often get caught up in them and lose sight of our true selves. Our thoughts tell us a story, and we get caught up in the story. By learning to observe our experience and the story without reacting, we cultivate a greater sense of inner peace and equanimity. We also gain a kind of inner freedom. Non-reactivity means that we observe our experience without trying to change it, fix it, move towards it, or push it away. Instead, we simply watch it unfold like a movie playing on a screen. We may notice thoughts coming and going, emotions rising and falling, and sensations appearing and disappearing, but we don't get caught up in them or try to control them. Practicing non-reactivity can be challenging, especially if we're used to reacting to our experiences automatically. This is just a habit of mind, though. We may find ourselves getting caught up in our thoughts, emotions, or sensations and losing our sense of presence and awareness. But with practice, we can learn to observe our experience with greater clarity and detachment. We can make new habits. One way to practice non-reactivity is to simply notice when we're getting caught up in our experience and gently redirect our attention back to the present moment. For example, if we notice ourselves getting caught up in a thought, we can gently bring our attention back to our breath or our body. If we notice ourselves reacting emotionally to a situation, we can pause and observe the emotion without getting carried away by it. Another way to practice non-reactivity is to use the mindfulness technique of labeling or noticing. This involves simply noticing and labeling our thoughts and emotions as they arise without judgment or analysis. For example, if we notice ourselves feeling anxious, we can simply label the emotion as anxiety and observe it without trying to change it or get rid of it. Instead of getting caught up in our inner dialogue, we can simply observe our thoughts and emotions as if they were passing clouds in the sky. We can label them as thinking, feeling, judging, or any other descriptive term that helps you recognize and observe them without getting caught up in them. Noting thoughts and emotions lets you step back and be less involved and more the witness. To practice this, simply observe thoughts, emotions, sensations as they arise and label them with a descriptive term. For example, if you notice a thought popping up, you can label it thinking and let it pass. Noting your experiences can be helpful in several ways. First, it can help you become more aware of the patterns and habits of your mind. By noting your thoughts, emotions, and sensations, you can begin to see how they rise and how they interact with each other. This can help you gain greater insight into your inner experience and develop a greater sense of self-awareness. You're gaining knowledge about yourself. Second, notice noting your experiences can help you develop a greater sense of detachment from your inner experience by simply observing your thoughts, emotions, and sensations without getting caught up in them. You can develop a greater sense of equanimity and inner peace. This can help you navigate difficult emotions and situations with greater ease and grace. You feel, this is me over here, witnessing and free. Third, noting your experiences can help you stay more present in the moment. By labeling thoughts, emotions, and sensations as they arise, you can anchor your awareness in the present moment and cultivate greater mindfulness. This helps you stay more focused and alert and present in your daily life. Noting experiences can be practiced in a formal meditation practice, and it also can be applied in everyday life. For example, you can note your experiences while washing dishes, walking in the park, or waiting in line. Simply observe as they arise and label them with a descriptive term. Noting your experiences is a mindfulness technique that helps you develop greater awareness and understanding of your inner experience and cultivate a greater sense of detachment and equanimity. You also stay more present in the moment. By practicing this noting, you can deepen your mindfulness practice and experience greater peace, clarity, and fulfillment in your daily life. Finally, developing witness consciousness requires cultivating self-compassion. This is essential because it helps us develop a more accepting and kinder attitude towards ourselves, which is necessary to be able to observe our inner experiences with curiosity and openness and not reacting. Without self-compassion, it's easy to get caught up in self-criticism or negative self-talk when observing our thoughts and emotions. This can lead to a reactive and judgmental attitude, which interferes with the development of witness consciousness. When we're self-critical, we're more likely to identify with our thoughts and emotions rather than just observing them. So this means treating ourselves with kindness, understanding, and acceptance, even when we're struggling with difficult emotions or challenging situations. By cultivating self-compassion, we can create a safe and nurturing inner environment that allows us to observe our experience without judgment or criticism. Developing witness consciousness is an important part of mindfulness practice. By observing our thoughts, emotions, and sensations without judgment or attachments, we cultivate greater awareness and inner peace. We also gain a kind of freedom that we didn't have before. The biggest benefit of developing witness consciousness is that it helps us break free from our habitual patterns of reactivity and self-identification. These cause us to suffer and limit our potential for growth and fulfillment. When we're caught up in our thoughts, emotions, and sensations, we tend to react automatically without awareness or choice. This can lead to unhelpful behaviors such as avoidance, aggression, or self-criticism. These perpetuate our suffering and limit our ability to respond to life's challenges in a skillful an effective way. When we react, we are bound and we suffer. When we are the witness, we are free and happy. So, how's your meditation been in the last week, Barley?
Oh, it's good. I have watched the Thich Nhat Hanh one that I've repeatedly watched for the last couple weeks. I
Yes,
love his gongs.
yes,
I like to be able to do more every day, like when you're washing the dishes and standing in line. And I don't think I've quite gotten there yet. And then the thing you just talked about, that's the hardest thing, to
yes.
suppress emotions and, and witness them. That's that would be my goal.
That's a very big deal.
Yeah.
And as I said a couple of times during the talk, that's, I think, one of the keys to having a sense of personal freedom.
Yeah, to witness emotions and not feel bad about them.
That you don't have to do anything about them. How amazing!
Yeah,
You know,
relating to.
uh-huh. Now, the other thing that I would observe, Barley, is it seems like that your practice really has become more consistent and more a regular part of your life.
Yes, I think so. And I can
You
do
know,
more.
so that's what I observed from over here.
Yay.
And, that's very good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, how about you, Doug?
Well, I got a very interesting lesson this morning that all Buddhism is not the same.
Oh, yes, indeed. How'd
Now,
you get that lesson?
the other day, I think it was when I was watching one of your videos, Richard, that uh, on the little side screen there was an advertisement for a Buddhist meditation center here in Mexico City.
Well, okay.
So I checked it out and discovered it was 2 blocks away from my house.
So it sounds perfect so far.
I had never seen it. I I don't know. I guess when I walked up that way, I was on the other side of the street. I don't know. I hadn't seen it anyway. So this past Monday, I went up there and I talked to this woman. She was sort of the reception there, and she was really nice. And we talked, and I told her that I meditated, and so she invited me to come to one of their sessions, one of their classes. So I went to that this morning. It's called Kadampa Buddhism.
I haven't heard of it.
Oh, okay. I had never had either. So I went, and it was all, well, they had it was like a church. It's like a chapel, the room where they had
Mm-hmm.
this, it was a sort of an altar with a statue of Buddha and some other people. Um, the Hindu goddess with whole a lot of arms,
Uh-huh.
uh, and they had all that in this sort of golden altar. And then the speaker was in a pulpit raised up
My
above
goodness,
us.
I've never seen that.
Uh, and she seemed like a very nice person. I went, but I couldn't understand the acoustics in the place. She spoke through a microphone,
Mm-hmm.
and with my hearing, I could not understand a word she said. And so this was supposed to last for an hour and a half. Being aware of my hearing problems, I had placed myself in the front row. So I thought, well, if I get up and leave,
Mm-hmm.
it will be really disruptive. So I sat through an hour and a half of understanding probably one word out of every 10 or
Oh,
so. But it was all very formal,
mm-hmm.
very religious, and it was not a good experience.
And it certainly, if the session was listening to anybody talk for an hour and a half, even if it was the Dalai Lama, then uh, it's not going to be very effective. And, the heart of Buddhism is about practice, not listening to some guy in a pulpit talking.
Yeah, well, that's so true. There was two meditation sessions. One that lasted I don't know. It was a bit longer, but they played music during it,
Uh-huh.
and it was a song, with people singing during the meditation. That was
Okay.
just, I thought, well, this isn't the kind of meditation I'm used to.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Now one of the things about Buddhism is there are hundreds of different forms of it. And it sounds like there are more flavors than I'm aware of.
Yeah, well, if you hadn't even heard of that, or Kadampa was with a K.
Uh-huh. Well,
No, no,
So Doug, was it free?
no.
oh,
Well, it wasn't expensive. It was 80 pesos,
Well, that's,
okay.
yeah.
and there was a lot of
Richard was
people
free.
there.
Wow.
Probably over 50 people.
Okay. Interesting.
Most, 95% of them were very young,
Okay.
like young adults. I was really out of place there.
Okay.
Everybody there
Interesting.
could have been my grandchildren.
Okay. Interesting. Well, maybe there are some other Buddhist centers in Mexico City. I bet there are. They're not as close to your house, though. They might be closer to your heart.
Well, yeah, that's very possible. This one was nice because it's so close, and it really is kind of difficult to travel around here in Mexico City.
Right, right. Okay, well, and you're trying, and one of the things that I regularly say is, be willing to try different things.
Mhm.
The other part of being willing to try different things is within yourself what is true for you, and you have to listen to that and respect that, and you can discriminate within yourself and take what is true and useful and disregard the rest. And if there's too much that you have to throw away, then don't go back. Sounds like there you had to throw away most of it.
Yeah, most of it. But we always have that option of not
Right,
going back.
right, right. Okay, well, Other than that, Mrs. O'Leary, how is the fire?
Other than that, I've meditated I think every day this week. Some days it's gotten a bit deeper than others.
Mm-hmm.
But once a day, I think is pretty much what I've settled into.
Uh-huh.
Other than bits while I'm out walking
Right. Now, do you do it in the morning, the afternoon,
in the
evening?
afternoon.
Okay.
The afternoon, yeah.
Okay. Anyway, uh, I think very good. It's good for you to go on your Buddhist adventure, even though it didn't pan out. It still shows that you have an open mind and are willing to explore, and that's one of the things that's important.
Well, it was an experience.
Uh-huh. And when you turn over rocks, sometimes you find a jewel, and sometimes you find some worm with lots of legs. Okay,
Yep.
so shall we meditate for a bit?
Okay.
I think so. Now, mindfulness is paying attention in the present moment on purpose, non judgmentally, fully receive whatever is experienced, then let it go. All right. And now we have another video from the same guy we watched last week on consciousness.
Hey, welcome. So this video is about pure awareness or open awareness, or sometimes called non-dual awareness. It's really the core of what every meditation practice and tradition is about. One way we can explore different types of practice in general is to look at top-down and bottom-up approaches. Essentially, a top-down approach is just trying to drop into this awareness, trying to surrender fully to everything that's happening, not control anything, to just be totally in the moment, uninhibited. The problem with this is when we try to really let go, we often end up thinking and caught in our same habitual patterns, our same habitual thoughts. The reality is that the mind is very sticky and clingy and graspy. It grasps onto different things, it grasps onto different ideas of what it wants or what it doesn't want, or who we think we are, or what the mind thinks it is. So when we try to just really let go and just surrender and to just be without any trying to do whatsoever, often we just end up caught in our regular neuroses, caught in our regular way of being, and there may or may not be any benefit at all to trying these kind of pure awareness practices. On the other hand, we have the bottom-up practices, which are really bringing more awareness and openness and non-judgment and clarity to all of our experience. And what we're doing is we're deconstructing the self. We are looking at how we grasp, how we hold on to certain things, how our mind negotiates our experiences, how we try to move away from what we don't want or don't like, and how we try to move towards what we like. So with these bottom-up practices, what we're doing is we're bringing more awareness and openness and actually acceptance to these processes, to the graspiness of the mind. And through the openness and awareness and clarity and acceptance, these things start to change automatically. So it's different. A lot of psychotherapy is about implementing these changes and practices and really making yourself do things. It's okay, here's the problem, what can we do about it? But what mindfulness practices teach is that just observing things as they are, just being open and clear with what you're experiencing without judgment, which means fully accepting and surrendering to the experience, this alone allows things to change. We come across this idea specifically in Gestalt therapy, and they call it the paradoxical theory of change. It's this idea that so long as we resist something, it stays stuck because we're in this inner conflict with it. We're using up all this energy to try to fight or get away or change, and we just get rigid in our neuroses. And that by actually accepting where we are, accepting everything as it is, allows us to kind of give up the battle, and then through that there's more freedom, and then change can happen more naturally and more organically. So it's this idea that pushing harder often just creates more stuckness, and that surrendering can often lead to the freedom that allows change to actually happen. So what these meditative traditions are teaching is that all of our struggles and suffering comes from attachment, that we get attached to a certain outcome, or we're attached to certain ideas about ourselves or what we want to be in our lives. So we may be attached to being an important person, or accomplishing a certain thing, or being in a specific type of relationship, or getting a certain level of success in our career. So we have all these attachments, these ideas of these are the things I want for myself, and these are the things that will make me happy. And the fear is that if we give these things up, we'll either be failures, or we would be resigning. We would be saying, oh no, I can't do that. I'm not even going to try. So the key here is actually that we don't have to give up our ambitions at all. But what we do have to give up is our attachment to a specific outcome. So it's this idea that, okay, I'm going to try really hard to be successful in this area, and I'm going to be okay if I'm not. So that's the challenge, and that's what these meditation traditions are really getting at, is that we can be fully okay with things as they are. We can not be attached to any specific outcomes, but we can still work and try. We can still very much try to make things happen, want to make the world a better place, want to make ourselves better or be more successful. These things are great, but we have to be willing to accept and be willing to be okay with not. We have to be willing to be okay with ourselves just as we are in this moment. And so this is the challenge of what is really being taught in these traditions, can we give up the idea that we need to be all of these things, whatever these things are? And the first thing to look at is just the quality of awareness, that what we're trying to do is we're trying not to be in our normal kind of habitual thought patterns. We're trying to just be aware. So the first piece is that we're identified with awareness. We're in a place of awareness. So that's the most important thing about this practice, is staying in this place of awareness, which isn't easy, which is why other practices that bring us back here over and over could be helpful.
Okay.
Hey, well,
And now we will meditate again. All right. And let's close with a chant. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om. Peace,
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 peace.
peace.
Well, any comments, discussions?
I had a good meditation. I was floating away.
Very good.
Yeah, it was fun.
I missed my clock at the end of 10 minutes, so I don't know how long we meditated.
Oh, yeah.
So I floated away too.
Oh, good. Did you float too, Doug?
No, I don't think I did.
Okay.
I don't usually do that floating business, but it was nice.
Very good. It's good.
Hmm.
Yeah, I sometimes do, but no, not this time.
Yeah.
And
Well, it was interesting for me to identify that that's what I was doing. So
yes, yes. And those things are worthwhile acknowledging too when you do it, noticing and feeling good about it.
yeah.
Well, like in the video, he was talking about awareness. And, and I think awareness really is one of the keys to the whole thing, to to uh, to develop witness consciousness. You have to be aware of thoughts, automatic thoughts, or
Mm-hmm.
automatic. You're just doing things automatically without
Mm-hmm.
even being aware of them. Uh,
And that's still part of the process, is that over time you just notice more of this stuff.
hmm.
And, it's hard to know about something and understand it unless you notice it to begin with. That's the kind of key to the universe. Okay, it seems like it was another good session. We have Barley floating away into the infinite space, and Doug just noticing. Those are both good.
So it was a good day.
Good, good. So have good meditations, and we'll see you next week. Namaste.
Namaste.
You want deeper meditation, more peace, more happiness. Subscribe now to continue to find ways to get more from your meditation.